What's up, guys? My name's Tom, and welcome back to what I'm calling the Asturian Ascension in Crusader Kings III. Yes, as we learnt last time, it should be Asturianese Ascension, but it doesn't exactly roll off the tongue, does it? So Asturian Ascension is going to be, and it's not going to change. And anyone who says it should change, you're wrong. So last time out, we won a war. We took Valladolid. It was a very successful war. We took part in one battle. We lost one battle. France carried us to victory, and that's all that matters. This is actually my second time recording this video. The last video, there was an issue with audio. By issue, I mean it just did not work at all. So I've actually recorded 2 episodes into the future, only to find the audio issue. So hopefully it doesn't happen this time. But it does mean that I have a little bit of direction of what I want to do. So, one thing I noticed is when doing a holy war, you want higher levels of devotion in order to be able to press claims for your duchies or kingdoms. So what this means is essentially, I am going to go on pilgrimage. So we'll prepare for that journey. And yes, Catholic pilgrimage. It's time for me to set out on my journey to one of the holy places. But which one? Decided Jerusalem. Start a pilgrimage in Jerusalem. This is an exceptionally long pilgrimage, and it costs 175, but as you can see, we've got 396. It's not an issue. We can go to the churches in Vaticano, which is in Rome. We can go to Cologne, or we can go to somewhere else. The other holy site is actually already in our territory. Yeah. But I'm going to go to Jerusalem because that gives us the most piety. Another thing is I've completely forgotten. You know, don't even worry. Not another thing. So let's just resume. As I prepare for my journey, I know that I will travel safely under the protection of God. I'll be gone for a long time, and I can only pray the Lord watches over my realm as well. It is time to depart. Actually, I remember what the other thing is I worked out that I don't have a court physician. Oh, but because I'm on a pilgrimage, I can't. They want to ransom their people? Sure, here you go, have a ransom. I'm also going to get my marshal. I'm going to pause. Among my fellow pilgrims there is a man who preaches compassion and fellowship until he reaches the topic of heathens. One evening around the campfire he loudly declares them to be abominable monsters in the eyes of God, deviants and child murderers all. Most people avert their eyes when he looks at them. Tonight was not quick enough. Do you not agree, O king? So I can either say I agree, and I would not trust any who came to their defense. They are not all bad. Since we are in the midst of fighting holy wars, I'm going to go with I agree. Disdain for heathens, which basically makes my levies reinforce quicker. Sympathy for heathens, I don't know what it does. I can't do it. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong, but I can't get the tooltip to work properly. So, I have a disdain. We'll pause quickly. I'm going to get my marshal to increase my control in Valladolid. Similarly, I'm going to continue ransoming my prisoners. So these are the prisoners that we took in the last war. I need the money. I want the money. And I'm also going to... Actually, no, I'm not. I was going to create the duchies, but I'm actually just going to save up for now. So we'll resume, and we'll go back to the realms. Just keep ransoming them. And I've had a son, hallelujah, Sanchu. It sounds kind of Japanese to me, which is fine, but Asturianese. So we'll find Manuel. I actually like that name. Gomez. I'm not calling him whatever that was. It's all of you. Velasco. Valendu. Bermudu. Bosun. Andre? Load. Alright. 3, 2, 1. Favilla. Sounds kind of feminine, but you know what? It is what it is. I could have sworn this was supposed to be the path onwards. None of my companions or I have managed to find our way back to the pilgrimage route. Are we even looking at the right stars at night? It feels as if we have been wasting weeks. I can either lose 50 gold, we must find a guide no matter the cost, or I can get lost for 5 years. I think I'll just pay the money and find a guide. I mean, I'm getting the money from the ransom anyway. I don't want to do that. And I can't ransom anymore. Alright, good. So this is the map at the moment. And we have reached Jerusalem. No other city in the world has a history quite like Jerusalem. In addition to the many other holy sites there, the city contains the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, built over the combined places where Jesus was crucified, buried, and resurrected. Standing outside of the Temple Mount with my hand on the western wall, I find myself reflecting on everything that happens on my journey to this city of legend. Now, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre is a church that was built in the 4th century, and since then it has been a site of pilgrimage for Christians. Currently, and by currently I mean in real life, so 2020, it's the seat of the Greek Orthodox Patriarch of Jerusalem, but there are agreements between many Christian faiths, including Catholicism and Ethiopian Coptics, and so then they all share the church essentially, and it is believed to be built on both the place where Jesus was crucified and where he was buried and subsequently resurrected. I couldn't find any, if there'd been any studies into whether or not this is possible. I must admit, I always thought that the place he was crucified and then where he was buried, being raised a Catholic, were maybe not significantly far away, but certainly not within the confines of a church. But apparently this is the way. I've walked the holy path. I gain 875 piety, which is enormous. I gain the trait Pilgrim, which gives me plus 10% piety, or monthly piety, and plus 5 same faith opinion, which is essentially my entire country. And I get Determined Pilgrim, which gives me monthly piety per night, which should tie in well with my lifestyle trait that gives me plus 4 nights. So I've walked the holy path. And that's sweet. Yeah, so this is the map at the moment. Obviously you got India. I don't exactly know much about here, and we've also increased our devotion. We are now faithful. The Abbasids are obviously, well, maybe not obviously, but to me it looks like they're the most powerful of the Islamic nations, or debatably nations, but call it nations. You've got the Byzantines, which are still the on the frontier. They're essentially, or they believed themselves to be the bastion of Christianity, stopping the Muslims from getting into Europe, essentially. We've got Bulgaria. This is the Khanate of Bulgaria, and I believe they haven't yet converted to Christianity. They're still Tengri, so that doesn't exactly bode well with the Byzantines at the moment. We've obviously got the successors of Charlemagne, West Francia and East Francia looking stronger than Lotharingia or Italy. And then we've got Jorvik, the Isles, being the Norse invaders of England or Britain. Then we've got the petty kingdoms of England, the Welsh, etc. I believe, and we'll just have a quick look at the religious mode. Yep, so Scandinavia is still Norse. There's not been a Christianization yet. And meanwhile, so we've got Khazaria, who historically were Jewish, weirdly, or only weirdly because it's not very common. And as you can see here, they're Khabarite, or Kabar. They follow Khabarism, which is a form of Christianity. Not Christianity, Judaism. Looking at the faith map mode, we see Catholicism and Orthodox. Now, it's not wrong as such, like calling the Byzantines, but they wouldn't have called themselves that at the time. Catholicism really only takes off after the Reformation, which is 1500s-ish, and similar sort of time with Orthodoxy. During this time, you would have called it the Latin Church and the Greek Church, and in 873, that split hadn't occurred, not to the same extent, not to the divide where they weren't seen as the same faith. Essentially, the difference was that the Catholics, or the Latin Church, delivered their services in Latin, and the Orthodox or Greek Church delivered their services in Greek. But although Rome had become increasingly independent, and that kind of angered, to an extent, the Byzantine emperor, who always saw himself as above the church, or maybe not always, there definitely wasn't that split. In fact, in Italy, where the Byzantines constantly waxed and waned, Justinian essentially taking all of Italy at a point, there would have been churches in the same town where one church would deliver the service in Greek and the other church would deliver the service in Latin. So the split was definitely not as clear-cut. Not in 873. It's about 1050 where you get the Great Schism, which is really where they cut off ties completely. So by 1066, then yes, to say there is a massive divide between Orthodox and Catholic, or Latin and Greek, because again, the Catholic name only really comes about after the Reformation, then that's correct by 1066, not so much in 873. And it'd be interesting if they ever add events to mend the schism, which was an event in CK2. However, it could only be done on the Orthodox side. A Catholic couldn't mend the schism with the Orthodox, but an Orthodox could mend the schism with Catholic. But yeah, I guess the difference is similar to Insula, where essentially it's Catholicism, but it's also not Catholicism. You can debate the theocracy there all you want. I'm not going to. So yeah, let's continue. Let's come home from the pilgrimage. The return. My journey has been a long one, but I've finally come home again. While much remains the same, something has changed now that the priests and bishops treat me. I've undergone the journey of a holy man. They insist it has changed something about me, whether I can see it in myself or not. It is good to be home. The pilgrimage ends. 10 issues. I can ransom someone. 10 gold. I could wait for the full 25, but I think I'm just going to take the 10. I can also declare wars. These are just going to be holy wars, so it's not really worth it. We will see, though, now that I've got 973 piety, if I wanted to, I could take a duchy. But yeah, I kind of want to wait. With my allies, with West Francia, I would win, or should win, fairly easily. But I really want to wait for the kingdom. Which you can only do once in your life. And it might take a while. So I'm not sure. But I am going to do something else. I'm going to ask the Pope Nicholas. Interesting fact. Potentially not that interesting. Pope is not actually one of the Pope's titles. He's essentially the Bishop of Rome. Pope is just a name that we assign him. And I'm going to seek indulgences. Now, historically, indulgences were a thing, essentially, to help the church raise money. They really become important when the papacy moves to Avignon. They lose the territory associated with the Bishop of Rome and the donation of Constantine, which means that they can't collect tax. So they're forced to really exploit indulgences to help maintain the administration of the church. Not so much in the medieval period. They definitely existed. And, from our modern sensibilities, we frown upon it because essentially what they're doing is saying, oh, you've committed sin. Well, if you give us enough money, we'll absolve you of that sin. But for us, 100 gold for 100 piety. I think that's worth it. We're going to seek indulgences. And the Pope has said, "It is commendable that you seek to atone for your sins. I accept your generous donation and send you my blessing in return. Thank you, Pope Nicholas." It also improves our relationship with the Pope, which is good. So I have just worked out, by seeing this Kingsguard thing, that I was thinking I'd already got it when I mentioned that the militant, whatever one of the traits were we got for the pilgrimage was, which was monthly piety per night. I thought I'd already got the trait. I haven't, but I'm going to pick it up now. I get more nuts. It's going to make a big difference in combat, and obviously allow us to get more piety, which is definitely good. And now you'll see here that we have 2 few knights, so we're going to click on that, and we're going to recruit them to our court. We can only have 11, so I'm going to just get old mate Hartland. I don't know, where's he from? He's Franconian. Right, I don't know what that means. My brother and heir is in jail, and the person who has him will not let him out, so that's not great. I can ask my Pope, my head of faith, the Pope, for money, but you'll see that it costs 250 piety. It's definitely not worth it. We don't need money that much, and we definitely don't need to do that. Meanwhile, Duke Diaco, our cousin, absolutely hates us. He wants to be on the council. I kind of want to murder him. The game's suggesting that I increase his opinion. I think I kind of want to bury him under title, if I can. Which is, so he is, I think he's actually a duke himself. He is. Alright, that makes it a lot harder. I'll probably put him on the council. He's a good marshal. And this guy's he's not as good, and he is a powerful vassal. But I still think should make him significantly happier, and it does. It doesn't make him happy though. It's a bit scary. But I'm gonna leave it. And I'm no longer wounded. And my brother died. My heir died. Interesting. We're just going to leave that. I can nominate a successor. I'm going to nominate my son now, who is actually in jail. So we're going to try and ransom him. For 200 gold, they will accept. Come home, Alarico. A good deal. Ugh. All this piety. I really want to become more pious, but I'm not exactly sure how to do it. If we've gone on a pilgrimage, we've bought our indulgences. I think it's just a waiting game, essentially. Should I bump up the speed? Potentially. Meanwhile, in France, not much is going on. We are married to the king's daughter, so that's fine. My son is 4, which means I can educate him. And I'm not going to... Am I? Yes, I am going to. And I'm going to try and convert him, because as you can notice, he is Visigothic still, even though we converted to Asturianese. He is still Visigothic. Meanwhile, my brother has invited me to a feast, so we will take it. Hopefully it's like a red wedding or something. I'm going to negotiate an alliance with them too, just because I think it'll make him happy and unable to rebel. Now we might actually get... that one, would it make sense? Do we get piety for winning wars? We get devotion. I'm just thinking, is it potentially better to actually try and holy war for one of these places? Or will that be bad? Meanwhile, the peasants are rebelling. Nothing to worry about. We're going back to Valladolid, the site of about 10 sieges at this point. You know what? I think I'm going to get my bishop to start fabricating on Navarra, purely because I want to incorporate Navarra into my kingdom. There should be one Christian kingdom in Spain, or in Iberia, surely. Especially under a righteous ruler such as myself. Meanwhile, we've actually got elite troops, and they have the worst troops, so it's the end of the peasants. Let's start swaying Duke Diaco. I really don't want him to rebel, especially since he's my heir at the moment anyway, so. Prince Rodri of Gwynedd, which is Wales, has announced to the world that he and his vassals have converted to insular Christianity. Having become disillusioned with the teachings of the Catholic priests, the nobles of Gwynedd no longer consider the clergy to be righteous and true, and distancing themselves from their former religious institutions. They instead profess themselves insularists, whose doctrines they feel better aligned with God's will. So insular is actually the Irish religion. And it's interesting because the other Christian faiths don't mind them. They're not like... they're not, heretical as such. Blasphemous. So they're willing to coexist with them. So in terms of religions, it's certainly not a bad one. Or other Christians, it's not bad. But it's certainly not one that we feel the need to convert to, so we'll let them do what they want to do. Spy Master's died, that's not a good sign. I could just put my brother or my uncle in the position, but I think I'd rather have this 20 intrigue skill Spy Master instead. So we will. A good Spy Master is the secret to not dying early. You know, I want to die at the age of 80, and I'm sure some of you might know the end of that quote. Cup of wine in my hand and a woman. And Oviedo's being sieged again, how unusual. But this should be the end of the Peasant War. They've got low quality, we have elite quality, we've got knights, they don't. It's just a bad time for them. And that's the end of the Peasant War. So we'll just expand our armies. Let's see if we consider... yeah, so look, you can see here. The knights, 11 knights, got 80 kills and 0 deaths. The levies, 1,180 levies, got 87 kills and 18 deaths. They almost got equal kills. That's how important knights are. Meanwhile, we're getting an unexpected visit. Yet again, Markwart? Who's he? Where's he from? Bavarian. So he's Germanic. So Markvar? I mean, that could be wrong, but it certainly sounds a lot better than Mark. Yet again, Markvar is late for a council meeting. This time I will not let it pass. When I arrive at Markvar's chambers, I do not give him the courtesy of knocking. Markvar is seated by his desk, writing furiously. As I clear my throat, he jumps out of his skin. He quickly stuffs a roll of parchment into his pocket and turns towards me with an uneasy look upon his face. Well, that's not good. I will find out. What are you hiding? Show me at once. I will find out what Markvar is hiding, good or bad. Markvar loses 15 opinion. Intrigue challenge. 35% chance I find the parchment. 65% I am discovered by Markvar. Respect his privacy. No. I'm finding out. Did he really think I will not see that? Give it to me at once. With a shivering hand, Markvar offers me the crumpled parchment. Well. How delightfully wicked. According to this blackmail letter, Markvar has intimate relations with Emma. Emma, 29-year-old, lowborn. I don't really care, to be honest, you know. Written proof, how considerate. That's fine. I will use it when I need. Meanwhile, all is going well. And by going well, I mean we're alive. And we have a new martial perk. So this time we'll go down courtship because I really want to get the gallant trait. It improves prowess of martial, which is prowess obviously being the one that keeps you alive in personal combat, and martial, your ability to command. But yeah, we have to go courtship. We've got romance and elope scheme power. I mean, they're not great, not bad. Eloping's never bad, unless you're my daughter. My daughter? Do I have a daughter? I do. No. Wait, do I have two sons? Look at that. I don't have a daughter. Well, it doesn't matter. Eloping's never bad. Jokes. I'm kidding. If you elope for Villa, I will discipline you. Let's put it that way. Meanwhile, there is something I want to get plenary assemblies. And the reason I want to get plenary assemblies is because it gives me limited crown of authority. Well, it doesn't give it to me, but it gives me the ability to have it, and that is good for changing. Oh, that's good for changing succession laws. I've just seen that the faction that wanted to put my Duke Diaco, who was basically the only person in the faction, has disbanded because my swaying has worked and he's now got -6 opinion of me. So he doesn't feel the need to essentially try and put himself there. I'm pretty sure he's my heir anyway. Yeah, he is, so it doesn't really matter. He's not great though, is he? He's a holy warrior, but apart from he's not great. I think I'd much rather my son be in charge. My son is only 6, and he is pensive, lost in thought, trying to understand the world around him. So, yeah, it's not bad. But yeah, as a 6-year-old, I guess I would rather have Diaco as my heir, because if I die, I don't think at 6 I'd be able to hold this realm together, or potentially hold the Onslaught. We're actually very lucky. I mean, I haven't played this game enough to know if the Umayyads normally capitulate as such into multiple nations, but they have here, and I think that is a stroke of luck, because we have the opportunity to fight them and not all at once. They significantly reduce their strength. In fact, their strength's 1,841. We have more soldiers than them just by ourselves. The acclaim, the fabrication on Navarra is almost done, and I think we will go to war. Potentially immediately after, depending on their allies. We have to pay 93 gold, that's fine, we can do that. And we will... Oh, my wife's pregnant again. In fact, just for the sake of aesthetics and not having border gore, I'm going to fabricate a clan here. Just so that we can take both of them at once and it'll look aesthetic. And that way I almost want to fabricate one here too. But with that said, this brings us to the end of the second episode. Next episode, we will finish this claim, potentially make a claim here, and then we will invade Navarra and hopefully unite the Christians of Iberia. Thank you guys for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And, if you enjoy my history, if you know more than I do, so I enjoy listening to you guys and learning about history, or if I got something wrong, let me know in the comments. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one.